So this is Gade. I head cloud engineering and responsible AI for Freshworks. And today, I'm going to actually walk you through a very interesting 8-year journey of generative AI in Freshworks. So whether you are a CXO or a founder of a company who are trying to build a successful startup based in AI, or you are any technologist who would like to actually learn and move forward, you might find this kind of interesting, the journey that we took and all the learnings that we had so far. But before we jump into Freshworks journey, let's look at why part, because the why will kind of create a purpose in terms of why we are doing what we are doing today, right? So, anyone you ask about generative AI, I think this is a buzzword today, right? Irrespective whether you're a student, you're a technologist, you're in a pharmaceutical company or a construction business, generative AI has to be on your website and on your resume. Yes or no? So the purpose, when you look at it, I keep asking folks, what do you think about generative AI? Is this another technology transformation? Most of the folks think this is just another, a decade-long technology, and then something else will actually come in. Some folks think this is probably once in a century kind of a transformation, like you can see on the slide, is that this is here to stay for the entire century, and then probably disrupt the business as we know it. But the way I see it is this: the overall human existence has been around for about 18 million years, but for the last 35,000 years, Homo sapiens have been in existence. Since then, there's one thing that did not change, is not a single living being or non-living being challenged human intellect. Okay, and that's about to change this century. And that's why I kind of zoomed out to the 18 million years. It's not a decades phenomena, it's not a century phenomena, it is actually the phenomena of the entire life as we know it. And that's exactly why we are here in this room on a Friday afternoon here in Bangalore, right? So now that I got your attention, let's jump into the journey of Freshworks and see how we actually took our journey. That's me. We just spoke about it. And then this slide basically talks about our journey we started. The Freshworks was founded in 2010 in Chennai. And it is the first SaaS product company which is born out of India and went public in NASDAQ. And one of the fastest growing software company where we make customer support software, ITSM software, and CRM, and compared with who's who in the market. Over last 8 years, around 2016, we introduced ML and AI to our products, and we started experimenting with the BERT models and then basic GPT-1s of the world, where and some of the SLMs as well, to see how we can actually enhance our customer experience. And slowly that got transformed. A couple of years later, we started talking about how do we kind of expand it beyond. Initially, we started with the customer support software because Freshworks was called Freshdesk. And that was our brand name, and we are a single product company as well at that time. And entire product basically had this platform of AI, where we started actually slowly empowering the agents in that Freshdesk software using AI. And we slowly expanded that to ITSM and CRM products as well, where depending upon if you're doing a marketing campaign, how do you actually automate it using AI, and so on and so forth. And as we learn more and then see a lot of adoption, and then our models also started improving a lot. And we had two types of approaches. One is self-built models, where we call it discriminative models. You kind of train them based on the anonymized data that we have from millions and millions of tickets that we have from customer usage, and kind of enrich them in different domains. But at the same time, you also have generative models, where models which are actually trained on maybe 100 billion or 150 billion parameters and trillions of tokens, which could actually do a kind of generic use cases. So over time, we also got into personalization and data enrichment, and also giving very deep analytics and insights. And today, fast forward to 2024, I'm sure a bunch of you are working on flowless bots and assistant APIs, agents, and I think future is becoming more and more exciting because if you're into this business, and you will realize that once you start implementing the OpenAI's flowless bots or like assistant API, or now Google is talking about agents, you could actually deflect anywhere between 40 to 50% of all your customer queries. And that's phenomenal. And just a beginning of what is actually coming and how we are going to actually disrupt this market. So that's about like our journey. And then, today, if you look at it, we actually took in a platform approach. So today we have about 8 different products, and we serve across 4 different regions in the world, and 120 countries is where our customers are. And but then we have one single platform, we call it Freddy. So Freddy basically cuts across all our products, and then it has 3 different sets of I would say AI-based feature sets, right? First one is a self-service. Self-service is going to kind of a friend to your customer's customer. It basically means that that person does not need to create a ticket. Whatever help you need, you'll be able to just go and get it done by yourself. So that's basically what percentage of self-service is actually these tools are enabling. That kind of defines the effectiveness of use cases you are building in these models. Second one is Copilot. I think that's after generative AI, Copilot is probably the most popular word that you are seeing everywhere, used in different capacities and different meanings. So in Microsoft world, Copilot is nothing but, they basically improve your productivity to the next level. Whether you're a developer, you're an M365 user, you're creating a PPT, it doesn't matter. So in Freshworks context, the Copilot will actually works very closely with the agents. In case if you have an ITSM help desk engineer, Copilot basically automatically generates articles for you, automatically looks at the tickets and be able to summarize everything that customer is talking about, automatically comes up with the solutions based on the previous root cause analysis, and so on and so forth. So at this point today, we have close to 70 to 80 different use cases, and we also have close to about 20 plus models that we have built internally, and then a couple of other external integrations with Azure OpenAI and OpenAI as well. So I spoke about what part so far. So what Freshworks did, right? Just to get a context. And now I'm quickly going to cover about how part, what kind of approach we took and how it kind of helped this company. So like I said, depending upon where you are in your career, you'll be able to kind of relate if you are in this AML journey. And I kept these slides very, very simple. And it's basically, you're talking about ideation, execution, and governance. Some of these principles that I'm kind of listing is kind of also apply for the regular software engineering or also SaaS product building. But then I think more so for especially like generative AI world. So let's talk about the first part, right? So it's very easy to get distracted in this world of generative AI, where you are actually looking at a lot of press happening. Every time Amazon or Microsoft, OpenAI or Google coming up with a new keynote, you're seeing a lot of new features coming in. But as a technologist, maybe you're a CTO or a head of technology, or you're probably an AI engineer, a data scientist. What do I do for my company, my product? It's a lot of distraction around, and it's very important for us to actually stay focused. And that's why the first part I was talking about is, hey, if there are 10 different features I'm giving to the customer through my SaaS product, this is non-AI features, what will actually make it to the generative AI? So we want to slowly go away from FOMO and start doing the real stuff, right? If you don't find any use case, don't build it, right? But then if you actually do find it, then take it to the out-of-the-box thinking. And then, so another thing that we learned over time is, we are not going to get any use case right from the day one. It has to be iterative. It has to be fail-forward mechanism. And that's why the pipelines that we are building, the approach that you are building, actually you set it up, explain it to the team, explain to your tools, and your system is that you're actually bound to fail in most of the scenarios than you actually did in a traditional SaaS scenario. One good example, if you're actually rolling out, say, an article generation for an ITSM product to your customers, in a traditional SaaS scenario, you build a code, and code would do what you want it to do. And that's about it, nothing else, right? But then in the generative AI scenario, you're actually using a large language model, and then you are actually using prompts and probably some kind of a tuning and training for it to actually behave it slightly differently than what you wanted to do. So here, the outcome or what customer is going to see and the value that customer is going to get and the adoption that customers are going to have is completely vary time to time. And that's why it's very important to have this agile MLOps pipeline and continue to iterate and fail fast. So this is one of the tools that we used in our company where how do you actually evaluate? Because you have thousands of developers working on multiple different features across products, and everyone is busy actually going through their sprint cycles. But then what features will actually make it to AI and what will not? And this matrix kind of helps you to kind of identify what features, and then some of the tools will basically talk about how do you actually score both in terms of the business value and feasibility. One good example I can tell you, there could be a use case where your customers want or your GTM teams need this to be in generative AI. There is a business value. Most likely you might be able to monetize it and make some revenue out of it, right? But then it may not be feasible today. The LLMs that are available or the features that are available with the AI is probably not there yet, especially when you're talking about multimodal scenarios where being able to go through the videos, make sense out of it, and then actually interpret in the LLM and come back with the responses. One good use case I can think of it, how do we actually build a flowless bot which will actually interview your candidates going forward, which means all your recruitment is actually online. So your AI agent will have a personality, someone they can see, but they can basically talk to an agent, talk to an interview, the candidate, right? And the candidate keeps talking. So the agent will know, automatically kind of assume a data scientist job description and know-how and start throwing those questions to that particular person. And then basically be able to evaluate the person's proficiency in the subject. But not only that, look at the body language, they'll look at probably some cultural aspects and everything else. So scenarios as complex as this, we are not there yet. GPT-4 vision, and then some of the Google Vertex models are able to do it. But then most of the companies I think we are starting with the text generation and text manipulation and so on and so forth. So so this slide is all about, and it's a busy slide, but this slide is all about the adoption of generative AI cannot be business as usual for the CTOs. It has to be deliberate, so you have to build the right team. So a lot of questions keep coming, how do you actually, do you upskill the existing folks? Do you actually hire? It's a combination of both. So this is all about what we went through in the last 8 years in building data scientists, building AI-enabled engineers to be able to churn out the features that we have been actually doing. Some of the things that we learned, I think if I have to just summarize, is use everything as a platform approach. So folks will not duplicate the work across your business units, because especially your failure rate on your use case when the customer is adopting is so high, will not be able to afford to have multiple teams innovating on the same thing. So have just like what Freshworks did, like the Freddy platform, it basically abstracts all the LLMs to the developer. They'll just get an API and then they basically get done with it, and they'll be able to actually use it to build their use cases. So this is my favorite slide. Everyone talks about what great stuff you can do with AI, but very few folks talk about what can go wrong with AI. So like I said in my first slide, the super intelligence, the singularity, and all the great stuff you see in sci-fi movies, some of us could be skeptical, but then folks at OpenAI and Microsoft and some of these large companies like Meta are very, very worried and concerned about it. So there is a consortium being formed at the top level, like with the governments of United States, India, and various other large countries to actually come up with some kind of best practices. But this is the Freddy Guardian framework that we built in Freshworks to basically, on the left side you see all the Freshworks products. On the right side, all the models that we access, both internal and external. And then the Guardian will actually take care of the safety, security, and RBAC, and all the great stuff. And then this happens in a sub-millisecond kind of a latency, where every prompt that goes to the LLM and every response that comes back, kind of scanned and either blocked or transformed if they detect any malicious or intent or anything that can actually abusive, any red flags essentially. Right? So with that, that's my last slide. So the final takeaway, team, I know the 15 minutes is actually very short, but then I basically wanted to share exactly all the super exciting, 6 years to 8 years journey that we had at Freshworks. But this is just beginning for all of us. We are just getting started to disrupt the market. And the final takeaways is I think it's very simple, right? So I like the future part. So ignorance is not a bliss anymore. So we got to know that this is a wave, and then we want to actually go ahead and ride it. How it depends upon where you are, which kind of a domain you are right now, and what state of your career. But I think this is going to apply for everyone. And at Freshworks, we are super excited for what's coming next. Thank you so much.